You know that feeling? You spend like 7, maybe 8 hours in bed, which should be enough, right?
Hmm.
But you still wake up feeling just completely wiped out.
Yeah. Or maybe you're just lying there staring at the ceiling, your mind going a mile a minute.
Exactly. Desperate to sleep, but it just won't happen.
Right.
We all know what tired feels like, but today we're going to do a deep dive into something a bit more than that.
Mhm.
It's about understanding and hopefully overcoming insomnia, especially for you listening right now.
That's right. This isn't really about, the odd bad night we all have sometimes.
Hmm.
Our mission today is to really dig into what insomnia actually is, why it hits so many of us, and crucially, give you some real practical things you can actually do to get better rest.
Yeah, actionable steps.
We want to cut through some of the confusion and offer, well, real understanding and strategies that work.
Because it's definitely not just about the number of hours you clock in bed, is it?
Not at all.
You could be lying there for ages, but if you're waking up all the time or stuck in that really light, unsatisfying sleep.
Yeah, you're just not getting the benefits. You still feel awful the next day.
Okay, so let's unpack this. What exactly is insomnia, the thing that might be affecting you?
Well, put simply, it's a sleep disorder. It's really characterized by persistent problems with falling asleep when you first get into bed,
Right.
or trouble staying asleep through the night, or maybe you wake up way too early in the morning and just can't get back to sleep.
Yeah.
And it can happen now and then, sure, maybe tied to stress or something, but when it becomes a regular thing, like a long-term pattern,
How regular is regular?
we're talking at least, say, 3 nights a week for 3 months or maybe even longer. That's when it really starts to impact your day-to-day life, your well-being.
And that impact, it can be pretty serious, can it? It's way more than just feeling a bit sleepy.
Oh, absolutely.
You mentioned occasional versus long-term.
Mm-hmm.
What's the sort of key difference for someone listening to be aware of? Why does that matter?
Well, occasional insomnia, like the name suggests, it just kind of pops up sporadically, maybe triggered by something temporary, you know, travel, a big deadline, a short-term worry.
Okay.
It usually goes away once that trigger is gone, but chronic insomnia, that's the persistent kind. It sticks around.
Right.
And because it happens so often and lasts so long, it can have much deeper effects on, you know, your physical health, your mental health.
So knowing which one you might be dealing with helps figure out the approach, maybe.
Exactly. It helps guide how you think about finding solutions.
Right. Okay. So frequency and duration are key.
Yeah.
But like we said at the start, even if you are spending what feels like plenty of time in bed, insomnia could still be the issue if the actual quality of that sleep is just poor for you.
Absolutely. That's a huge point. You might log 8 solid hours in bed, but if that sleep is broken up constantly, if you're waking up multiple times, or if you're mostly just skimming the surface in light sleep stages,
You don't feel rested.
you just don't get those restorative benefits that deep quality sleep provides. That feeling of waking up unrefreshed even after a full night in bed. That's a really big clue for you to pay attention to.
Okay. So how can you tell then? How do you know if what you're going through is really insomnia and not just, I don't know, a few rough nights? What are the sort of classic signs that might make you think, hang on, this might be more serious?
Yeah, there's several common symptoms, and you might find some of these really hit home. One of the big ones is taking a really long time to fall asleep.
Like how long?
Often more than 30 minutes, maybe longer after you've gone to bed. And this is even when you feel genuinely tired, ready for sleep.
Oh, that is so frustrating. Just lying there, maybe tossing and turning. Your body feels tired, but your brain's just not playing ball.
Exactly that feeling. Another really common sign is waking up frequently during the night
Mm-hmm.
and then finding it really difficult to drift back off. You might be wide awake for like ages in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And similarly, waking up much earlier than you plan to, before your alarm, and then just being totally unable to fall back asleep. That's another strong indicator.
I know that one.
Yeah.
That 4 or 5 a.m. wake-up call you didn't ask for,
Mm.
and your mind just switches on, even though you feel exhausted.
Yes. And that leads straight into another key symptom for you, that persistent daytime tiredness.
Right.
Despite what seems like enough time in bed, you might just feel constantly fatigued, have zero energy, feel completely drained all day long.
It affects everything.
It really does. And beyond the physical stuff, you might notice yourself being more irritable.
Snappy.
Yeah, snappy, having trouble concentrating on things, just generally not feeling like yourself because you haven't had that restorative sleep.
Okay. So if some, or maybe even all of those symptoms are ringing a bell for you listening, it's definitely worth considering that insomnia might be what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into the why. What kind of things actually cause insomnia? It feels like there could be so many reasons sleep goes wrong.
You're right. It's often not just one single culprit. It's usually a mix of factors that contribute for you. Stress is a massive one.
Yeah, but
Think about it if your mind is just churning with worries about work or relationships, money stuff.
anything, really.
Right. Your brain stays kind of stuck in high alert mode, and that
Yeah,
makes it incredibly difficult for your body to actually relax enough to fall asleep.
that makes total sense. It's
Yeah.
like your off switch is jammed.
Yeah.
What else is commonly tied to sleep problems like insomnia?
Well, anxiety and depression have a really strong link for a lot of people.
Oh, okay.
Often, the racing thoughts, the constant worrying, that emotional distress that comes with those conditions,
Mhm.
it can make it super challenging to fall asleep and stay asleep.
Like a vicious cycle sometimes.
Very much so. And then there are things we often call poor sleep habits. This covers a whole range of behaviors you might be doing, maybe without realizing, that actually undermine your sleep.
Like what kind of habits?
Like having a really inconsistent sleep schedule, going to bed and waking up at totally different times every day, especially, sleeping in loads on weekends.
Oh, yeah, the weekend lie-in trap. Feels good Sunday morning.
But it messes things up come Monday. It completely throws off your body's internal clock, your circadian rhythm.
Right, that internal clock.
Yeah, that rhythm regulates your sleep-wake cycles, and if it's all over the place, your sleep will be too.
Okay. Inconsistent schedule. What else falls under bad habits for sleep?
Too much screen time before bed is a really big one these days.
The dreaded blue light.
Exactly. That blue light from your phone, your tablet, your computer, it messes with melatonin production.
And melatonin is the sleep hormone, right?
That's the one. It signals to your body that it's time to wind down. Blue light basically tells your brain, nope, stay awake.
Not helpful.
Not helpful at all. Also, your actual sleep environment, if your bedroom is too noisy or too bright or maybe too warm or too cold,
Yeah,
that can seriously get in the way of restful sleep. Comfort matters.
definitely. I find even a tiny crack of light annoying. What about physical health stuff? Can medical issues play a part in causing insomnia for you?
Oh, absolutely. Certain medical conditions can definitely disrupt sleep. Things like asthma, arthritis, any kind of chronic pain.
Makes sense. Hard to sleep if you're uncomfortable.
Exactly. And even other sleep disorders like sleep apnea, where your breathing stops and starts, can obviously cause major sleep disruption and feel like insomnia.
Right.
And finally, don't forget what you eat and drink, especially later in the day. Caffeine is the obvious one. It's a stimulant.
Keeps you wired.
Totally. And alcohol. This
Yeah.
one surprises people sometimes. It might make you feel sleepy initially.
Yeah, the nightcap effect.
Right. But it actually messes up the later, deeper stages of sleep. So you end up having more fragmented, less refreshing sleep overall.
Interesting. So it really sounds like figuring out your specific triggers, or maybe the combination of things affecting you,
Mm.
is the absolutely crucial first step to finding solutions that will actually work for you. Okay, so that's the potential tricky part. Now for the more hopeful part.
Yeah.
What can you actually do about it? How can you start breaking that cycle? It's got to be more than just like trying harder to sleep, right?
Oh, much more. There are lots of practical, actionable strategies you can start using. And yeah, it goes way beyond just deciding, I'll go to bed earlier tonight.
Okay, lay them on us. What's step one?
One of the most powerful things you can do is stick to a consistent sleep schedule.
We mentioned the opposite being bad, so consistency is good.
Hugely important. Going to bed and waking up around the same time every single day. Yes, even on weekends, sorry.
Ah, okay. Tough but fair.
It really helps regulate that internal body clock, the circadian rhythm we talked about. That consistency reinforces the pattern of when to sleep and when to be awake.
Okay, train your body. Makes sense. What else can you do to kind of actively signal, okay, body, time to wind down now?
Creating a relaxing bedtime routine is really key for you.
A routine, like for kids.
Sort of. But for adults, it's a set of calming activities you do in, say, the hour or so before you intend to sleep. It helps both your mind and your body shift gears.
What kind of activities work?
Things like reading a physical book, not on a screen. Maybe some gentle stretching, meditation, deep breathing exercises, taking a warm bath, listening to quiet music, or a podcast.
Okay.
The point is to establish a predictable sequence that tells your brain sleep is coming soon.
I like that. Creating cues.
Yeah.
We talked about screens being bad earlier.
Mm-hmm.
How strict do you need to be with limiting screen time before bed for this to work?
It's pretty important for you to really cut down on screens before bed. That blue light, as we said, suppresses melatonin.
Right.
So ideally, you want to avoid all screens Phone, tablet, computer, even TV for at least 30 minutes, but even better is an hour before you plan to turn up the light.
Okay, 30 to 60 minutes screen-free zone.
Yep, you could swap that scrolling time for one of those relaxing routine activities we just mentioned.
Okay, put the phone down, pick up a book maybe, got it. What about the actual bedroom itself, the environment where you sleep? Does that make a big difference to your sleep quality?
Oh, massively. Optimizing your sleep environment is crucial for you. Think cool, dark, and quiet.
Like a cave?
Pretty much. Use blackout curtains or an eye mask if you need to block light. Consider earplugs or maybe a white noise machine if noise is an issue. Keep the temperature comfortably cool.
And the bed itself?
Yeah, don't underestimate a comfortable mattress and pillows that give you good support. That can make a huge difference to your sleep quality, too.
Okay, cool. Dark, quiet, comfy cave. Check. What about late night munchies or that evening coffee you might fancy?
Yeah, being mindful about eating and drinking, especially in the few hours before bed, is important for your sleep. Definitely avoid caffeine late in the day.
How late is too late?
It varies, but generally avoid it for at least 4 to 6 hours before bed, maybe even longer if you're sensitive. And try to avoid big, heavy meals right before lying down.
Gives you indigestion anyway.
Exactly. If you are hungry, a light snack is okay. Maybe some nuts, a banana, something easy to digest.
And alcohol. We touched on that.
Right. Even though it feels like it helps you nod off, it disrupts sleep later. So, best for you to avoid it close to bedtime if you're struggling with sleep.
Good advice. Okay, what about exercise? We know it's good for us generally, but how does it tie into sleep specifically?
Regular physical activity can definitely improve sleep quality for most people, but the timing matters for you.
Ah, okay. Don't go for a run right before bed.
Probably not. Vigorous exercise too close to bedtime can actually be stimulating and make it harder to wind down. Aim to get your workout in earlier in the day if you can. Morning or afternoon is usually best.
But that makes sense. Get energized earlier, wind down later. We've covered a lot of physical and environmental things. What about the mental side? Especially if stress or anxiety is a big trigger for you.
Yeah, addressing the mental side is absolutely vital for you. Incorporating relaxation techniques into your daily life, not just at bedtime, can make a big difference.
Like what?
Things like deep breathing exercises throughout the day, maybe journaling to get worries out of your head and onto paper, practicing mindfulness or meditation regularly. These help manage the underlying stress.
Okay.
And for people with more stubborn, chronic insomnia, there's a really effective treatment called cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI.
CBTI, that sounds specific. How is that different from just, trying to relax more before bed?
It's much more structured. CBTI is a specialized therapy that directly targets the unhelpful thoughts and behaviors that are maintaining your insomnia.
How does it do that?
It uses specific techniques. For example, sleep restriction therapy. Sounds harsh, but it temporarily limits your time in bed to match the time you're actually sleeping. This helps consolidate your sleep and strengthen the bed-sleep connection.
Interesting.
Another part is stimulus control. That's about reassociating your bed only with sleep and intimacy. So no working in bed, no watching TV, no scrolling your phone. Bed is for sleep.
Breaking those bad habits.
Exactly. And it also involves cognitive restructuring learning to identify and challenge those negative or anxious thoughts you might have about sleep, like, I'll never fall asleep tonight.
Oh yeah, the worry about not sleeping.
CBTI helps you reframe those thoughts. It's generally considered the gold standard, the most effective long-term treatment for chronic insomnia, because it gets right to the root of those behavioral and psychological factors.
That sounds really promising, actually, especially for someone who feels like they've tried everything else.
It really can be life-changing for people.
So when should someone listening think, okay, I've tried tweaking my routine, I've tried the cool dark room, but this isn't shifting, I need more help? What are the signs it's time for you to maybe see a professional?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you've genuinely tried implementing these kinds of lifestyle changes and strategies consistently for, say, several weeks, maybe a month or two, and you're still really struggling with your sleep.
It's not getting better.
Right. Or if the daytime consequences, the fatigue, the irritability, the trouble concentrating are seriously messing with your daily life, your work, your relationships,
Yeah.
then it's definitely time for you to reach out for professional help.
Don't just keep suffering through it.
Absolutely not.
And what kind of help can you expect if you go to, say, your doctor?
Well, a doctor can first help rule out any underlying medical conditions that could be contributing, like thyroid issues or pain conditions we mentioned.
Okay.
They might also suggest a sleep study. This is usually done overnight in a clinic or sometimes at home now, and it monitors things like your breathing, heart rate, brain waves. It can diagnose things like sleep apnea or restless leg syndrome.
Which might be the real culprit.
Exactly. And then there are sleep specialists, doctors, or psychologists who specialize in sleep disorders. They can offer more tailored plans, including guiding you through CBTI properly.
And what about medication? Is that an option?
It can be, yes. Sometimes medication might be considered, usually for short-term relief or alongside behavioral therapies like CBTI, especially to help break a bad cycle. But it's typically not the first or only solution, particularly for long-term insomnia, because CBTI tends to have more lasting benefits without the potential side effects or dependence.
Right. So it's part of a bigger picture, potentially.
Exactly. The really key takeaway for you listening is you don't have to just put up with insomnia forever. There are professionals, doctors, therapists, specialists who can really help you figure out what's going on and find solutions that work for your specific situation.
That's such an important message, isn't it? Because insomnia can feel so isolating and just relentless when you're in the thick of it.
It really can.
But knowing there are concrete strategies and professional support out there makes a huge difference. So just to kind of wrap up our deep dive today, we've established that insomnia isn't just feeling tired. It's a real disorder impacting sleep quality, and it has knock-on effects on your whole life.
That's right. And we've walked through some of those common symptoms you might recognize in yourself and explored the wide range of potential causes, everything from stress and habits to medical stuff and lifestyle factors.
And hopefully we've armed you with a toolkit of actionable strategies you can actually start using tonight, or this week.
Yeah.
Things like getting that schedule consistent, creating a wind-down routine, fixing your bedroom environment, maybe looking into CBTI if things are really stuck.
And crucially, knowing when it's time to raise your hand and ask for professional guidance. Because ultimately, while insomnia is incredibly frustrating for you, it really doesn't have to be a life sentence. By understanding what might be driving it for you and by actively using these practical strategies, you absolutely can break the cycle and get back to better, more restorative sleep.
Definitely possible.
Yeah.
So on that hopeful note, here's a final thought for you, our listener, to maybe mull over. Thinking about everything we discussed today, all those potential causes and strategies, what's just one small, realistic change you feel you could actually try implementing this week to start prioritizing your sleep?
Just one small step.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be a massive overhaul overnight. Just one thing. That could be the start of a much better rested future for you. We're definitely sending you all our best wishes for a truly good night's sleep ahead.